We are live, I think. All
Yeah,
right.
looks like it.
Yeah. Got the recording symbol. We're good to go. I think we might just do that where we'll start chatting and I'll just randomly record, and that's how we'll start these things. But if you're watching this again, this is episode number 2. You're tuned into Body Geeks. And last episode, we were trying to come up with a name, and some people shot out some decent ones. They're pretty cool. I kind of like the beard and the brain, but didn't love it. So I'm kind of thinking we're just going to call it Body Geeks. What do you think about that? Does that work?
It's pretty simple, I think maybe even I don't know if you looked up growing pains at all, about growing pains or under construction, or I think something along that path was pretty decent as well,
Yeah.
So
I did look up growing pains, and there's like 4 podcasts that were called growing pains or growing pains
okay.
something. So I was going to look up some stuff that's maybe like related to that, like we talked about. I kind of went down that rabbit hole a little bit, but nothing too crazy. So I don't know. I kind of was thinking just Body Geeks, since the YouTube channel is Body Geeks.
Yeah.
We got a Facebook group, Body Geeks. We got an Instagram, Body Geeks.
True.
Might just be good. And I, as much as I'd love to do or plan to do more videos on the YouTube channel, I think it's primarily going to be this podcast. So that all kind of meshes in well too. So
Right.
yeah, you're now tuned in to Body Geeks episode 2. And we're getting some upgrades. You see Mason's got a new mic and some headphones, and I decided to use my remote hotspot on my phone to try and alleviate the shitty internet connection until I can actually fix the internet connection, if that's even possible. So yeah. So how was your week since the last episode?
Not bad. Like I said last episode, I know it probably came in a little choppy, but I am a brother in the IUEC Local 18, part of elevator, the local elevator union. And for that, our job is pretty much anywhere and everywhere they send us. Could be as far north as like Santa Barbara, Ojai, can be
So
as
for those that
far
don't know,
as
Santa Barbara, Ohio is like, with traffic anywhere from 2 to 3 hours from like Los Angeles, kind of north.
right.
So, and then you're living in Orange County, right? So
Yeah, back to Orange
so
County.
so you travel literally like 2 to 3 hours north, what, 2 to 3 hours south, kind of maybe 2 to 3 hours in all directions, or what?
It could be. It all just depends on where the job site is at the time. I moved to the city of Orange, so for about 6 to 8 weeks, I had a job site here in Santa Ana, which was like 3 miles away, which was awesome. We're a LA local, so we pretty much cover all over Southern California, but it's the way it works is like we have like zones and stuff, and if we work, I mean, there's different mileage, but it's kind of like you drop a rock in the water and there's ripple zones, and the further you are out from LA City Hall, the better we get like day rates and stuff. So the only thing that sucks is like for me, if I'm working in like downtown LA, it's I get nothing to show up to work. It's just I get my normal pay, which is good, but when you're working in places like that, it's you got to deal with traffic, getting out there, coming back, all that. So this week, I'm basically, for those who are listening, if you know where Victorville, Palmdale is, that's where I've been going for the past 2 weeks now. So that's usually
That's
I'm
still a
up at
hike.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up at 3 on the road by 4. It's about 100 miles from where I live right now. So I'm up at 3 on the road by 4, at work by 5:30, start work at 6, and then work till about 2:30, and then God willing, I'm home by like 4:30.
That's
But yeah,
actually, considering the travel and getting up early and all that, that's not too bad, because that the hours you're still home, there's still daylight even in like
right.
wintertime and stuff, so you still can feel like you're living a normal life, even though I'm sure you're going to bed early if you're getting up that early. But it's not like you're coming home, going straight to bed and going right back to work. You got a little bit of a
Right.
downtime. So
Yeah. Usually I'll come home, mess around with the dogs a little bit, take a nap, like, half hour nap, and then eat some food and off to the gym.
so they pay you for the time it takes to travel, or they just pay you more per hour when you're there if it's further away? How does that work?
So for something like that, that is, I can't remember the mileage exactly, but I know it's either 30 or 35, but I know it's 35 and over definitely. If you're that far or farther from LA City Hall, then you have your maximum day rate. So it's like a zone pay.
Okay.
So that when we're that far, it's per diem. So it's nice because it's pretty much per diem. It's non-tax. So that kind of like they do that to offset like gas. If you're staying in a room and all that and stuff, which I've done for a job similar to that distance. I was just like, hey, like the first week, I was like, man, this kicked my ass. I didn't know I was going to be here another week, so then I just went and stayed at a hotel, and they do that to kind of offset that. So yeah, we
Yeah.
also get travel from the last job to the new job. So you get like it's like 56 cents a mile for that, and then your first day on the job, last day on the job, you get your travel time. So
Okay. Yeah.
how long it takes you to get there. So it all kind of balances out.
And with that being per diem, all that extra expenses you could write off too. So,
Yeah, yeah.
gas and mileage and even hotels or whatever else you do. So nice, man. Yeah, that's a pretty good gig. And I know it comes with benefits, right? Like it's a union job. So
Oh yeah.
retirement, healthcare, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
That's one thing that I think I said in the first episode. If I can go back and tell a younger me things, like one of those would be to not pay attention so much on the salary or the hourly pay and look more on the whole package. Because whenever I was young, I didn't give a shit about retirement or even health
Right.
insurance. I think I went years without health insurance like a dumbass. I know you did too. I think we both did.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
just because it was so expensive, and when you finally actually start paying for that, you realize how expensive it is. And so when you have a job that's offering you some sort of like medical compensation, as well as some sort of either like pension or retirement plan, all of a sudden you're like, man, this, if you add up how much those things are and add that onto your salary, you're like, man, this job's paying a ton.
Right.
As opposed to finding jobs where you're like, okay, well, the salary's a lot higher, but there's no benefits. Because I'm in the same boat now. I know we were both lifers as far as fitness goes, and we spent like over 15 years, probably 15 years for you, right, in the fitness industry. I know I was 12 or something like that. So
Yeah.
for us to jump into just these other jobs, I think that, I don't know, maybe it's just growing up or whatever, that we look for those extra benefits and stuff. So yeah, lesson to you younger guys: if you could start investing in a retirement account or find a job with a pension or a retirement plan that you can contribute to that, do that early, because the earlier you start doing it, technically the earlier you can retire.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all about years and money put into it. But yeah, I started doing the similar thing. I had a kid, and I learned real fast that I wasn't going to be able to continue the lifestyle I was living. Um, I was sometimes making great money, sometimes not making enough money, and it was just a roller coaster ride. Overall, averaging, getting by. I was paying the mortgage and uh, kind of still living month to month. I wasn't setting up myself up for the future. Nothing was stable. It was just a constant kind of hustle to just make money. So when I had the kid, I thought first and foremost, I'm like, I need some sort of stability just to, you know, make sure that my bills are covered every month, as well as something that's protecting the future. It's providing health insurance, not only for me, but for, the whole family now. Because if I look at like the cost of health insurance for Becca, myself, and Riley, I mean, that could be anywhere from like 1,200 on the low end to $2,000 a month just for health insurance. And I have a job now that, because of the plan that they have, it only costs me like $300 a month, something like that, $350 a month. So, yeah, I took the leap, and my idea was to keep a few things that I had from the fitness industry that made sense that I could do part time from home, um, and then otherwise find some sort of career. And my goal was that paid me 60,000 a year, so like $5,000 a month, right? I'm like, if I hit that and I can hit what I think I could hit in the fitness industry, then I think that I could then hit all of my goals financially as far as stability and investing for the future and acquiring wealth. So I'm still not quite at that 60 grand a year for the non-fitness career, but I'm close. So what I did is I got online and I looked up California jobs. So it's governmentjobs.com was like a county one, and then there's CalHR, which was like working for the state of California. And my mom and stepdad had done that, so I kind of had an idea of what it would provide. So I got on there and I looked up at several different jobs, things that I thought I could do right away, and I found out real quick that it's a long, slow road to that $5,000 a month if you don't have a degree. Uh, it can be done. You could make six figures and higher, without a degree, but it just takes a lot longer to get there. So I had actually, when I left to do the shops, I had bailed on college unknowingly. I thought I finished all of my classes, but like a year after I thought I graduated, they contacted me and they were like, well, it turns out you still need like two classes because two didn't transfer from a junior college I went to. So at the time I was like, screw you guys. I own these supplement stores. I don't need you. Screw the degree. I'm a bodybuilder. I'll make money slinging protein powder and lifted weights. Uh, Fast forward, have a kid, and now I want that degree. And I'm like, oh shit. So uh, I went back to school. I had 5 classes then that I had to take, one online, one at the local junior college to save money, and then 3 back at Cal State Fullerton. So I went there, got the degree, and then started applying to work for the state. And it was a long, slow process, but ultimately got hired at the Department of Corrections, working in procurement, where we basically just do all of the purchasing for the specific prison I was working for. So that wasn't, honestly, it sucked in the beginning. I was like, I have a 9 to 5 now. I'm doing some work that is kind of boring. It's really easy. I'm just kind of in an office typing data entry into a computer and whatever. But as it kind of evolved, it became very fascinating to see like the budgets involved with the prison and all the things we purchase and all the contracts and all the different. I learned basically how an entire prison operates just by knowing how the money was spent for the prison. So yeah, I've been working working for the state because of the benefits and the retirement, and still doing some of the stuff part-time in the fitness industry, and just trying to work myself out of a hole, to be honest. And I could see the light now. I'm real close. But yeah, I'm trying not to just drone on about boring stuff, keep this interesting for people. But if you're wondering why I stopped competing in 2016 and kind of just fell off the map, and just wasn't even, I didn't even get on my personal Instagram, I think, for a long time. I'd pop in every once in a while, but yeah, I stopped competing because Becca and I wanted to try to have a kid. I also sold my supplement stores in 2016 because they were failing. Social media, Amazon, whatever, changed it all. And then, tried a few different things, business wise, that some worked, some didn't. And once the kid got here, though, that was the big changer where I'm like, I gotta really just make a big shift in focus. And so I just put all my fitness stuff on the back burner and just focused on making money and establishing a career. And we sold our home, we moved. Hopefully, we're buying a new home this year. And then during that time, though, during the last couple of years, got hired with the state, still been on my fitness hustle, and just got bombarded with bullshit, for lack of a better word. I turns out that I made a mistake by hiring an accountant for my supplement stores. I was a young kid when I opened it, right? I was 23. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to get in trouble with taxes or government stuff. So I'm going to hire a professional and pay them to help me with my bookkeeping and my taxes to make sure I'm square on that. I didn't want to have a horror story, right? Turns out I was paying the dude to basically not do things and do things wrong. So here I am, sold the shops in 2016, thought the company was dissolved, paid him to dissolve it. Everything else, no problem. And then in 2019, I start getting these IRS letters in the mail asking me for a lot of money, like tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm broke. I'm, in debt from the failed supplement stores. I'm barely making minimum wage at the new state job. The fitness stuff is doing okay, but not all that great. And hired a new accountant and did a lot of self-research this time to make sure that they were doing their job. And yeah, in the last 2 years, I've paid about 60 grand in like back taxes and late fees and all kinds of different stuff like that. So that was another big reason why I haven't been lifting or competing or even focused on any of that. Because how can you focus on, or how could I focus on bodybuilding or powerlifting while I'm trying to raise a little girl and trying to pay off all this debt so we could buy a home? Like it just, it was ridiculous, but I'm debt free now. The only thing I have is my car payment. We got some money saved up for the house. So I'm kind of proud of myself and surprised in the last 2 years I was able to do all that just by, I don't know, reaching down deep into my gut and just, yeah, I don't know. I got to a point where when things got hard, I just, I felt defeated at first, felt depressed and all that. And then something finally broke inside of me. And I was like, hit me harder. Just give it to me then, bring it on. Like, don't, no matter what you throw at me, I'm going to overcome you. And I think that's the only way I got out of it. But almost there, almost to the point where we're going to be buying a home and I'll be setting up a home gym. And I got my sight set, for the future after that. But little tidbit of what I've been I've been doing. But yeah, so we're both in better positions now than we were a few years ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think some of that, I think devil's advocate for the maybe the lack of health insurance for us was because we had to figure out a way to take care of ourselves. I think we kind of learned some things that way. You know what I mean? I think now that we have insurance and stuff, we can probably be a little stubborn at times, as far as like it's not a rub some dirt on it and stuff like that. But I think especially with everything going on nowadays, not to say that like, hey, you should just rub some dirt on some stuff, but I think especially what's going on with everything nowadays, I don't see a lot of coverage on taking care of yourself, from head to toe sort of thing. And, being mindful of what you're putting into your body, how you're taking care of your body, all that type of stuff. So thankfully, even though we had that time where we were lack of insurance because of lack of funds, I think, we learned some stuff with it. Um, and, I think a lot of people can probably learn from not just that, but also like what you were saying as far as just what you went through over the last couple of years. Like, I mean, I knew it was deep, but I didn't know it was that deep, and I mean, I was pretty much close to zero balance myself and probably in the negative a few times over the last couple of years. And for similar things, it was maybe some companies me and you were involved in at the time, like, we thought it was going to take us to a certain route, or, you think you can put somebody in the right position and stuff. And it's just doing your research, take the extra time to be like, hey, who is this person? What's their background? What have they done? What are they going to do for me? All that type of stuff.
Yeah,
Just don't go.
I've learned you can't go through life without trusting people or you're miserable. Like it just doesn't
Yeah.
work that way. But I think there's a phrase, trust but verify.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't put 100% of your trust in anybody for anything. You have to trust them, but you have to verify that what they're doing is correct. And especially if you're going to be a business owner, because I thought that since the accountant screwed everything up, I I thought, I mean, it would make sense, right? That I can contact the IRS and say, hey, look, here's
Yeah.
proof. I paid this professional to take care of all of this for me. Can you forgive it all? Like I paid you guys money. I mean, I was still doing things. He was just doing them wrong. And then at the end, he just didn't do some stuff, period. So he didn't dissolve the LLC that I asked him to dissolve. I paid him to dissolve, right? And with that not being dissolved, we then go like 4 years of not paying every year. There's an annual fee for it, and potential taxes associated with any sort of income you make from it and stuff like that. So, and that the IRS didn't even let me know for like 3 years later, right? So I went a few years thinking, oh, that was all tidied up and done. And then they hit me up and said, no, you didn't pay all this, and now you have 3 years of fines and fees on top of it that have compounded with interest. So it's like,
Wow.
here, you owe us double what you would have originally had to pay us. So when I showed him, well, look, I hired the CPA. I've even paid him. I went through my bank records, found proof. I'm like, look here, I paid this person to all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, well, you still owe us all this money because it's your business, it's your problem. But you can report him to like the Better Business Bureau or the Board of Accountancy or whatever else. I was like, okay, so I'm still screwed, and I could just try and hopefully screw him in the process by,
Right.
reporting him. And I actually, myself, I chose not to even report. I I was just so focused on just wanting to put it behind me. I didn't want to
Yeah.
drag anything else in there. But thankfully, my new accountant was like, screw this guy. I'll report him. So
Awesome. That's
yeah,
good.
I'm like, good, go get him. Somebody else go get him.
Right.
But it's, as far as I know, I'm good. I actually went last week. I had to go back to Van Nuys because the city of LA was like, hey, you owe us 3 years of like fees for, I think, a seller's permit or something. And it was the 3 years that after I sold the shops.
Oh, got it.
And so I took all my evidence, went down there and showed them like, look, I sold this in 2016. I had an accountant who didn't dissolve the company. I didn't make any money with this, and went through the whole process. And thankfully they were like, okay, we're going to forgive this. And you don't owe any money for it. But a lot of hard lessons learned. Every time I went through some shit, I'd have people tell me like, oh, well, it's a lesson learned. I'm like, this shit's too expensive. I'm not finding the value in this education, but yeah, I put it this way. If I want to go back into business though, I feel real confident in everything I've done. I'm experienced now. I'm a weathered businessman when it comes to stuff like that. So, anything with the government, I've gone through it. Anything with leases and moving businesses, selling businesses and construction companies, everything I've done almost all of it at this point. So, anyways, as much as my state job gets boring at times, there's no price for a peace of mind. So I've kind of settled on, I'm going to build the state career because that gives me health insurance for my family. If I put in 20 years back and I get health insurance for life, which is amazing. I mean, that's a ton of money if you think about it. It has a really good pension. And then if I need more money that the state can't provide, that's where my extra hustles come in. That's where coaching comes in. That's where everything else, and I've made a promise to myself that I won't do any extra side jobs for money if it's not something that I love to do, because I'm already doing something with the state that's not a passion. It's just work, but where it sits right now, for the first time, I think in my adult life, when I'm off work with the state, I stay on top of my coaching and everything else. So like when I'm off work with the state, I don't have any work to do. When I'm hanging out with Becca and Riley, I'm in the moment. I'm with them. I'm not worried about it. Like before, when I owned businesses, right, I'd be sitting on the couch with Becca watching Netflix or something, and the back of my mind is stressed and worried about all the things I have to do for business to keep money coming in. And so yeah, I think, again, lesson to younger me, if my dream was to be a bodybuilder, right, you don't need 24 hours a day to focus on bodybuilding. You have to eat your food and you have to train, so like it really doesn't take a whole lot of effort to do that. And you can absolutely find jobs where you can spend 8 hours a day with the flexibility to eat and get the job done and everything else. I learned that the first job I had at the prison. I was like, I started because I was kind of getting back into lifting at that point, just trying to exercise to feel better, and I was bringing my meals with me. I had a microwave in the office. We had a little light hot pot. I was making tea and stuff, and I had snacks. So I'm sitting at my computer doing my job, eating my meals and snacking. And my boss was totally cool with that. You get the job done. They don't care if you're eating at your desk. It's not, as long as you're not distracted by it, right? So I'm like, this would totally have worked had I, say, finished school in the beginning and started this. I could have totally still bodybuild. And whenever I was younger, I thought, no, I can't have a normal job because it'll affect my weightlifting, or it'll affect my bodybuilding. That's just not true. Now, sure, I'm sure there's some stuff that is too physically demanding, right? Or whatever. But yeah, it's been a lot of cool steps forward. But I going kind of back on the state job thing. I got hired in December of 2019, right? And then what happened in March of 2020? Fucking pandemic. I guess we should try to not cuss. I think YouTube is going to penalize us if we do that, but whatever. Our people will find it.
I think we're good if we're past the first 5 minutes.
Is that the secret?
That's the loophole, the loop butthole. I was like, fuck, I might as well just say butthole. Some of the podcasts I listen to, there's a handful that they have, like some of them have like a nice boy clock or something like that, or you'll see them be very, very careful within their first 5 minutes, and then it's like that 5 minute hits, and then they just start like one of the guys I listen to, he just, the second that 5 minutes hit, he's like, all right, motherfucker, he's like, I'm holding off on this
real
next
now.
Yeah, he's like, I'm holding off on this next subject because, it's going to really piss me off. And then some days he'll come in and he's like, I don't care about monetization. Hey, I'm fucking pissed, so yeah, I think we're good as long as we're past that first 5 minutes.
All right, cool. So I kind of back to the story, right? get hired December 2019. And I literally like decided that there's a quote that I like. It was actually Jacob told it to me a long time ago. You know, the phrase strike when the iron's hot, right? It means like seize an opportunity. The other one is make the iron hot by striking. You know, you take cold iron, if you beat it with a hammer long enough, it gets hot from the friction just hammering away at it. And I had applied and interviewed several times, didn't get the jobs right away. And I'm like, I'm awesome. I've done a bunch of stuff. Hire me. I'm applying for like a secretary job. Come on, you know, like I want my foot in the door. And I finally got one. 3 months go by, the pandemic hits, and we get a 10% cut in pay because of the government being the government. But they did give us 2 days off per month, which was nice with the 10% cut. So I had been applying like crazy. Like if I was qualified for a position and it was on the website, I was applying. I was writing it. Like I think I've written 100 different statement of qualifications for these. They're like questions you have to answer for the applications and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to cast a big net and just apply to everything, and something will hit. And I'm just going to, if I'm qualified for a promotion, I'm going to apply to it. And I'm just going to climb the ranks fast to get to the money I need to get to, you know? And so I was doing that. And then the pandemic hit, we got this cut in pay. And then they kind of they didn't do like a true hiring freeze, but they kind of did, because the whole world was like, what's going on? You know? So that I kind of chilled for a bit. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to be applying at a bunch of stuff if they're not hiring, if they're not even doing interviews or whatever. Then summer comes along, and you know, my dad passed in July, and I not only had to deal with that emotionally and with the family, but there was a lot of stuff to deal with. You know, all of his possessions and his place he was living at and his vehicles, and you know, just kind of tidying everything up on that end. So I spent a while dealing with that. But around fall, so it'd been about 10 months, I'd been working on a job. I got back on my hustle with applying to everything again. And sure enough, one of them hit. And I promoted to a job at a prison that's literally just down the street from the other ones, like 7 miles away. There's so many prisons down here. But it was a job that I basically worked in the culinary department of a prison, right? And I'm called a material and stores supervisor. And my job was to supervise a crew of 8 inmates. And we basically run the storeroom for the culinary department in the kitchen. So basically this warehouse with all the food. And our job was basically to build these pallets with the day's food and deliver them to 3 different kitchens in the institution. So I'm now hanging out with a crew of inmates all day, going from an office job in the prison, crunching numbers and ordering things, to now supervising a crew of inmates, pulling pallets and loading them up, and driving this big, like kind of like a small big rig that I'm driving on prison grounds and delivering to different kitchens so they can cook the food for the day. And that was actually a fun job as far as the work, because I don't know, like I'm pretty fascinated with the prison system, and you know, my degree's in criminal justice, so it's all kind of fitting, you know, for what I'm kind of into. But the part that sucked, man, is because of COVID, they didn't cook at one of the kitchens at first, and then they didn't cook at two of the kitchens. So there's just one main kitchen cooking the food for everywhere, and we had to deliver cooked food, and that basically led to a ton of overtime. So I worked in that job for 4 months, and the entire time I was there, I was putting in like 55 to 60-hour weeks, and grateful for the overtime for the extra money. But the job would be on Sunday and Monday. I had to be there at 3:30 in the morning. That's when I had to be there. So you can imagine I'm going to bed at like 5, and I'm waking up at like midnight to get there and go to be there by like 3:30 in the morning. And then I would work 3:30 to like 4:30 or sometimes 5 in the afternoon. So Sunday, I'm like 3:30 to 5, come home maybe by 6, just eat something real fast, go to sleep to get up to be back there at 3:30 again on Monday, and do that again. And just, it was crazy. I started to get gray hairs. I was like confused all the time and just dead, tired. But some interesting stuff. I got some quotes that I'll share with everybody from the inmates. And I had, as far as my crew or the people I was around, a little bit of everything. People that were in there for all sorts of different stuff. But granted, it's a state prison. So if you make it past county jail into the state prison, you probably did something, you know, violent. Now, if you're on the work program, it means you've been on good behavior, but it doesn't mean that, you know, you didn't do something violent in your past, right? So this one guy, he's like a kind of, they call it like retired out or whatever, prison gangster. This is going to be a gangster for life, but he's he's not active, right? He's old and just kind of over it. But we were talking about just different things all day long, right? And we were talking about pocket knives for some reason. And I was like, oh yeah, I like old like hunting knives, pocket knives. Like I kind of collect them and stuff. And some of the other guys were talking about their stuff. And then that dude goes, yeah, when I'm out on the streets, I always carry a box cutter. People just kind of turn and look at him. He's like, yeah, you hit somebody in the face with a box cutter, that'll take the fight out of him real quick. And then just kind of carried on about his day, moving food around. I'm like, I guess that would take the fight out of somebody real quick, you know? But yeah, that was a crazy one. Same guy. He was like, because we'd all talk as a group, and he just basically said, he's like, I've been nothing but a gangster my whole life. It's all I know how to be, you know? And I was like, that kind of sucks, to be honest, but you know, go ahead, tell me your stories. Uh, you know, you could still be more, even though you're old. You've just been a gangster. But anyways, uh, he's like, yeah, whenever I was 13, he's like, I wanted to be a contract killer. It's pretty ambitious for a 13-year-old. And he's like, yeah, one of the big homies gave me like a pistol, and it was a small caliber or whatever. So he got the guy I guess he was supposed to kill or whatever it was, and he's like, yeah, he's like, I just walked up to him and I shot him in the face, and he's like, I got scared, so I like ran away, and he's like, yeah, I got my money, I got paid like $5,000 or something stupid, like it's ridiculous, like crazy story, right? And he's like, yeah, but then like 2 weeks later, he's like, I was walking down the street and I saw the same dude with the bandage on his face. And he's like, and I thought right there, maybe this isn't the job for me. Maybe I need to do something different. But yeah, I got quite a few of those, like just stories that I heard from them. And you know, nothing, everybody was great that I was working around. I never once felt like threatened or in danger. You know, there's officers everywhere. And you know, like I said, they're on good behavior. And everybody I had a release date, because I try and look up like their records, you know, and so I know if they're going to get out, then they're going to be on extra good behavior. And to be honest, they've worked hard, they busted ass. We got our job done all the time, and you know, I was fair to them as far as being their supervisor, or their boss, or whatever it was, and that was good. So yeah, after 4 months of kind of going through a hell schedule and doing that, I promoted February of this year to the healthcare side of the prison, which is where I'd love to stay, to be honest, because there's more money in healthcare and there's a lot more jobs as far as things I could do on the administrative side that are easier to bodybuild with and live my life with. But I am a contact tracer with the healthcare side of the prison system. And we basically call staff that have been exposed to somebody who tested positive and go through the whole script and you know, make sure we abide by HIPAA laws and all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of cool to, I guess, be on the side that's fighting COVID. That makes sense. You know, so this has been great because I get to work from home now, because I just have to call people, and I have a state, you know, computer and phone, and way different atmosphere, obviously, from going from the prison kitchen to working from home, dealing with staff. But I'm one promotion away from meeting my goal of $5,000 a month,
Right.
which is, I wanted to get there before we bought a house, so I could, based on my you know, my budget, I'm like, if I hit that, then all of my expenses and lifestyle are covered by the state income. I could live off of that, and then whatever I make with fitness can be saved and invested and build me up for the future. So I'm, after going through all that hell, I'm close, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge, man. Like that's a it's a hell of a road, you know. And I know we had mentioned this a long time ago, but I believe it was on Body Geeks, and especially how you said, like, you know, you'd be surprised with how much you can get done, especially if you're on like a regimen or you have things structured in a certain way. You know, like even with the things I'm doing, I'm in construction, and you know, I could still fit in some meals and stuff. Like, you know, usually when I have a, you know, almost 200-mile round trip commute, usually I have to stop at the gas station. So while I stop at the gas station, they have a microwave, I have food, you know, like it's doable. You know what I mean? But you know, as you said, sometimes going through that little ringer it'll test you, but usually, like you said, there's a way that you can look to build some freedom somewhere. And that's like what you've done. That's like what I've done with everything that we've always done and the different jobs we've had and stuff. It's always just trying to be a couple steps ahead. And, essentially we're just trying to get little ways to, like you said, get that extra freedom. Same thing with me. I've probably over the last, I guess, 3, maybe 4 years, I've done like some side fitness stuff, and now it's more word of mouth. So that's kind of nice because I more have people coming to me, and it puts the benefit in on me, because then I'm not trying to hunt people down for stuff. I'm not trying to, hey, what's going on with this, or and the retention I get is a lot better, and it's something that I can be more stable throughout the year, especially in the beginning when you're trying to look into getting that type of, I guess, side gig going and stuff. In the beginning, it's kind of a crapshoot. You might have a good month, you might have a bad month, but the longer you can do it and the more consistent you can be on that type of stuff, eventually you can be, have a more consistent, I guess, revenue stream with that.
But
And
I think that's a real good point, because I've talked to a lot of people about coaching in general, just like they want to do it, especially younger kids. They want to get to
right,
coaching and stuff, because that's like the thing in fitness, right? Is, hey, I post pictures of me lifting and flexing, and now I want to sell you coaching, and everybody just kind of does that right away. And the truth is, most coaches aren't qualified to be coaches. They shouldn't be
right,
coaches, right? But if you get to a point, because I'm the same way, right? Like I literally wasn't even active on my social media, and I had people coming to me. Like people would go to an inactive Instagram page, find my email, and reach out to me, and it's been stable. But how I got to that point was not only everything I accomplished myself, but I coached Breon, right, to win 2 Mr. Olympia titles in classic physique.
right.
So it's, as soon as I have that sort of resume or reputation behind you based on what you've proven that you can do, and what you've done, people do start coming to you. And I think that's the best advice that you can give somebody is, well, look, you want to be a successful coach, first be successful in what you want to coach.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you go through several bodybuilding shows yourself and you show you can get yourself in shape, try coaching somebody. If you can get somebody else in shape, advertise that
Right.
and then start selling it. Same thing with powerlifting or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, just a little off track what you said. That makes perfect
No,
sense.
no, but yeah, yeah. And to touch up on that point, like, you know, probably, I think probably the way you got started was, I mean, it started out with just helping out some friends, like giving some tips, or, oh, I can help you with that, or I can help you with the last couple weeks, or I can, same thing. I think with me with powerlifting coaching was, I had a couple of people that were like, hey, we're getting ready for this meet, and like, we'd love for you to coach us. And at the time, I mean, I probably had enough under my belt, to do it, but I was just like, I don't feel confident enough in it. And
What's
I just told,
crazy is you probably had a 2,000-pound total by then already, right? By the
yeah,
time you
probably.
started coaching.
Yeah, probably by the time I started coaching, officially coaching, I already had a 2,000-pound
Yeah.
total. Yeah. But I had enough under my resume beforehand. And even with these guys, but I just told them, I was like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm going to be at the gym at this time where the program you're doing is similar to what I'm doing. Um, Meet me in there at this time. I'm, I'll give you some adjustments. I'll help you out with this and that, some mental stuff. But, the biggest thing is I'm not going to hold your hand to get you to the gym. I'm not going to pick you up. I'm not going to motivate you. You should be self-motivated to be there and want to be there and stuff, and want to do well. And then it just kind of started from there. So, I'm not saying everybody needs to go work for free, but I think, to kind of build yourself up over time, you can test your metal, and kind of test what and sometimes, um reintroducing maybe something that you learned along the way, or coaching something also helps you learn a different way and helps you ingrain it into your system and stuff. But I mean, for me and you, we've just been doing that so consistently for so long that it's turned into these side revenues, because same thing, I keep a budget where I'm like, okay, I want to make sure everything is covered by my work. If not, like I got to I can make some cuts somewhere.
Yeah.
I could shop at, I can stay away from this restaurant. I could shop at, buy everything in bulk, this and that. Maybe not buy that car, and buy a different car, but, just to keep everything within a certain budget. And then it's where, now I have because I have people coming to me off of the small consistency you build, picking quantity over quality or quality over quantity for a large period of time, then you build that up enough and you eventually just start getting quality,
Yeah.
and then it becomes less work because then you have people that are hungry and want to do it, and then it's more efficient, a lot easier to do. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're just like, oh, like I'm getting a decent amount out of this, and it's really just like money I didn't expect. That's like, oh, there's that covers the car, that covers
Yeah.
groceries. Oh, cool. Like that's extra. You can, like you said, doing investing
What,
or
what
looking to build.
what I found myself too is, I mean, I got to a point with the supplement stores, right, where like I hated them. I didn't want to do it anymore. Like I loved it for so long, but towards the end, because it was it's how I made my money. I hated it. I hated going to work, and everything related to fitness. I couldn't stand it anymore. Like I'd get on social media and scroll through Instagram and just kind of hate the whole industry, like just a negative person. Like, and these people don't know these, this and that, and just go through this cycle of negativity. And so I just walked away kind of at one point I kind of walked away from everything, besides the things that were making me money and besides Breon. And I didn't start officially coaching for money until Breon won 2 Olympia titles. Or maybe his first one, after his first one, maybe. So I kind of, at that point, I was like, okay, I think that I can actually advertise my services now. Like after a decade of helping people for free and kind of perfecting my craft and all that stuff. But the thing that really helped me though was the second I got the state job and started relying off of that money, it allowed me to do what I wanted to do with fitness. It allowed me to pick and choose what I was doing because I no longer needed that income from fitness, right? It's extra because I'm trying to base my life off of what I'm earning with the state. And the second that happened, all of a sudden my passion came back because it's like now, like I love coaching now. I look forward to it. Everything related to the fitness that I do, it doesn't feel like work. It's fun, right? Now I'm charging. I'm not going to work for free anymore, because I've gone that far down the spectrum of experience, right? That I'm just kind of over working for free. There's nothing more for me to gain from that, and so when I started charging people and not even really promoting it, just kind of word of mouth, like you said, like it was coming in, and I found myself enjoying every second of it. So, I'm fortunate enough now that I keep a low client list because I only have so much time between family and the state career. I only have so much time. So I kind of the same thing as you said, like I just want quality, and it's not even people that are I don't need pros or people that are even competing. I just somebody with the mindset that's going to work with me to learn and improve themselves, and that's kind of become the focal point. But I had a real couple interesting things like happened to me that really just poured gas on my fire because I feel like my love of fitness over the past 5 years really, but especially the last couple of years, it kind of dwindled down to just like a tiny flame. Like a part of me still wanted to be involved in some way, but I was otherwise over it and I was focusing on other things in life. And the first one was because I never lost my love of fitness, health, right? Health and fitness and the gym. Like, but in terms of the fitness industry and competing like as a bodybuilder or powerlifter, that, that dwindled down to just a tiny little candle flame from what was once a huge bonfire, And the first thing that happened was actually this past Olympia in Orlando. I was hanging out with Breon in his room and we were just talking. I think we were actually watching the prejudging open guys. We were sitting there on the couch watching it. He's like, getting his last meal in. And I was talking to him about the state job and stuff. And he was like, man, he's like, it's time for you to be the guru. He's like, look, he's like, I got all these people following me. And he's like, he was so big on wanting to promote me. I didn't ask him for that. And I told Breon from day one, like, look, I'm kind of a private guy. I'm not really trying to build a massive coaching thing. So like, I don't even care if you promote me. I just want to work with you to make you your best because I see your potential and I think we work well together. We're friends, whatever. But so I never cared how much or how little he promoted. But I'm like, man, here's this guy getting ready for like we're trying to win the Olympia title back, and we're having a blast because we're all friends, But he's sitting here telling me like he wants to promote me, and I'm like, I have a 2-time classic physique, right, Olympian, sitting here not working some business deal, not me saying, hey man, if you promote me, I'll give you a cut of the pay, or, all the different things that people do all the time. He was just like, it was like the ultimate act of gratefulness, I guess. He's like, dude, I'm grateful for your friendship and I'm grateful for your help with everything you've done for me, like as far as a coach, and to really believe in what I have to offer, that he wanted to promote that and promote me as a guru, not just a coach, which I don't really care about the title, but that the whole flight home, I was just thinking about that and I was like, man, I really, because I really do enjoy the coaching and I really like I've really embraced that. And I've kind of, as much as I still have a fire for me to compete, but there's still something to prove there. I feel like my legacy, or what people will say about me, which again, I don't even care if people say anything about me now or after I'm dead or whatever, but if somebody was writing my story, I think I would like that my story at this point in time would transition more to being known as a coach or as a guru, or whatever, as a guy who's uh helping future generations come up, sharing that passion and keeping that love alive, and helping them be better than I was, to give them that sort of information that's going to make them better faster, so they can progress faster, and kind of be able to learn from my mistakes and stuff like that. So um that was the first one that really got me, like, I don't know, really thinking about it a lot, finding myself going back and looking at old pictures of myself and things like that, going, I could do this, I can still compete, and looking through memories, and just kind of reliving everything I went through. Um, and the one that was the final straw, that just, I feel like it was I had, just a ton of fuel around me, and it was just a spark that I needed to say, all right, this is it. It's time to get on it. Was because of that with Breon, I was looking back through old pics on my Instagram, right, and my Facebook and stuff, and I found a video that I had posted in 2016 after I did the USA's, and it was a prejudging where I did my, like, they give you a minute where you get to do your like mandatory poses or whatever, solo. And most of the time when I'm on Instagram, I had the volume down on my phone or muted, because I don't want to hear all the bullshit on there all the time, but for some reason I was like, oh, I've seen this video probably 1,000 times myself, and it's been on there for years now. Let me turn the volume on and let me listen to like the crowd or the background music or whatever. I didn't edit the video; it's just live, And whenever I turned it on and I listened to it, I heard the music and I start posing, and then I hear my dad, because he was there. I hear him cheering me on, telling me to go for it and stuff. And that one hit hard. I started crying, like, it's been it's been almost a year, like a whirlwind of emotions, that comes and goes, as far as, losing somebody as close as your father. But it just made me think about all the support he gave me, literally from me being a high schooler. He used to have me, like, I'd go to his work after school, I'd walk down there, and he would have me show my abs to like the people he worked with and stuff. Like, oh, look at my son. I'm like 16, like shredded. Yeah. Uh, and he supported every single show, powerlifting. Like, he was always there, and the good, the bad, the ugly that came with all of it, he was down for it all. And towards the end, when I wasn't competing anymore, he would always ask me about it. Like, every time I saw him, he's like, hey, when are you going to lift again? Do you think you're going to compete? Or, we'd look at pictures online of even Breon, and, my dad, thinking I'm the best ever, right? He's like, oh, you could probably give Breon a run for his money if you were like at your best. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, it's a different level, but hey, yeah, thank you, Dad. And so, I don't know, the last few conversations I had with him before he passed, when we talked about it, I kind of told him, like, oh, I think I'm going to lift, but I'm probably done competing. I don't think I'm going to compete again. And his responses were like, oh, you still have time. Like, you're not done yet. You'll still do it. And like, nobody really listened to this knew my dad, but my dad was as stubborn as they come. I could literally say, like, hey, Dad, that that chair is blue, and he'd be walking away going like, yeah, it's a nice shade of purple. And I'm like, you motherfucker. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
for sure.
it was combining that, just hearing his voice. And so I go back and play that when I need motivation. And kind of, I'm not going to say I'm going to compete again for my dad, because my dad's gone, so anything I do, it's going to do for the people here. But I know that if he was still here and I called him and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to compete again, next year or something, or I'm going to compete later this year, whatever it was," he would be even more excited than I was, and he'd be 100%
Yeah.
behind it no matter what. So, yeah, those things, I'm like, I just kind of looked at everything I've went through, everything I still have yet to go through to get to where I want to be, and realize how challenging it's going to be to train and eat and raise a family and focus on a career and everything else. And I just something inside me was like, good, the harder the better. The harder it is to achieve what you want, the better it's going to feel when you get there. So let's get to work. And dude, like, I just kept biding my time. At that point, the gyms weren't open, and I'm like doing push-ups in the room, doing sit-ups, started going for runs, just kind of get myself back in shape here and there. And as soon as I saw that the gym was going to open again, I'm like, it's on. And I haven't looked back. So I'm fired up, man. But I kind of went off tangent there, but I feel like it fits in with everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's all good. Like I think with this, like with what we've been doing, as long as we've been doing it and stuff, like uh the biggest thing we've probably instilled in ourselves is, even without lack of motivation or determination or whatever it is you want to call it, training like a beast. I fucking hate those terms. But
Yeah.
it is just consistency and frequency. Like consistency and frequency will get you so far for so long. And just having a good set of you know manners, or setting the tone, I guess, and that'll you do that, and it'll just help you build for years and years. And you've been able to take that and use that in business, use that in studying, use that in school, your second time around, to get you where you are again. And like your dad says, you have time, you do have time. Plenty of people have time. And just because you're doing something right now that you may not be 100% in love with, doesn't mean that's not waiting for you on the other end and stuff. And the biggest thing is like mental clarity, and being mentally in a good position is where you want to be. And trust me, like, take it from some guys who've been broke and trying to live the dream, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's not awesome when you're freaking out about, can I make rent, or can I do this and that. So get all that stuff handled, and then you could start to put together a game plan.
Yeah.
But when you're building, like anything, when you're building off of a bad base, or a shitty foundation, it could lead to an even further spot than where you wanted, or you could be in a deeper hole than when you started. So
Well, I've changed my philosophy a little bit recently, the last couple of years, and all of this hardship has kind of forced me to learn it. My mind used to always separate things. I'd say, like, well, I have like bodybuilding, and I have like career, I have bills, I have, it's like I'm treating them as if they're separate. So, okay, well, I'm doing these things right and I'm doing these things wrong, but the truth is everything is connected, you know. Um, so you can't be the best bodybuilder or the best power lifter if you don't have your shit together. So if you're taking extra steps to be on top of every little detail in your life, your training will improve and your results will speak for themselves when it comes to that. So don't don't be somebody who's going to sacrifice your life just to focus on a singular goal such as powerlifting and bodybuilding, because the truth is life is a mixture of everything, and you have to kind of be on top of all of it. It has to all make sense together. um, so that's, yeah, just kind of piggyback on what you said. Like, that's exactly the name of the game. Man, we've been going almost an hour now. These podcasts can be fun, dude.
yeah, no kidding. Go deep pretty fast.
Like my little light, I got to get my your professional light going, but it got dark and I'm like, all right, I
Yeah.
got this little thing. We'll make it work.
Yeah, I would say a ring light, or I'll look what I purchased on Amazon, because I got two of them, so I can. This one is just literally from the center on, but I can set two and, like, get crazy with it. But I'll send you like what it is. It's just like a pop up, really easy thing.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I have like a homemade one that I did with the the thing I learned from Kevin with the fence posts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the bulbs, and then I put a real
Right.
high. So I might try and rig that up here, but where I'm sitting, it doesn't have a whole lot of room. So if it's something that'll fit on a desk, if that's what you got, that'll be perfect. That'll
Yeah.
that'll fix this. But well, man, what do you think? Should we start wrapping this one up?
I think so. I mean, we started like, yeah, probably about an hour ago. I think that's like a good spot, And I mean, even if it's not a full hour, I mean, it's still better than what the 15, 17 minutes we did last week. So
Yeah, the
we'll still,
test.
we'll still build on it. But yeah, I think we talked about some good stuff today, and talked about your journey a little bit and like what you've been up to this past year.
Yeah, we
A
still got to
little bit.
go deeper into yours, man, because I know
Yeah.
I kind of read. I thought that we could fit both of us into one episode when I was like, let's talk a little bit about what we've been up to. And then as I started talking in this one, I'm like, shit, man, myself, I could probably go through 3 episodes myself, let alone
Yeah.
you probably got 3 yourself, So
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, I mean, as long as we've kind of been away from this sort of thing, it's probably been almost 3 years. You know what I mean? So you could probably pretty much do an hour an episode, hour episode per each year for each of us, so that could be like, I know, even though you put it in that way, I know you still got another 2 to 3 hours to talk about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm down for that on the next one. But, yeah, I think, it's a good, we hit some good points, and, I like where this is going, and I'm excited for it.
yeah, man. So for those of you guys listening, tuning in, we got a lot of plans for this.
Yeah.
There'll probably be a lot of episodes, especially in the beginning, of just Mason and I as we figure out, get the issues, the bugs worked out.
Yeah.
And I think next episode I'd like to incorporate screen sharing so we could pull some stuff up
Oh yeah,
online
for
and
sure.
talk about it. And then after that, we Mason and I are not famous by any means, but we've been in the industry a long time, so we're still
Yes.
pretty connected that I think we can get quite a few guests on.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to build this up to be a little something before we start asking a bunch of people to come on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you only get, one shot to have a real good interview with somebody. And then the second time they come on, it's like, well, you already pulled so much from them the first time. What else is there to talk about? So,
Right.
to let you guys know, if you keep following us, keep tuning into this, that we will get into stuff like that. And I think you all enjoy it. But in the meantime, I hope you're here because you like mine and Mason's face, and to see more
All
of
right.
that.
The faces for radio.
All the followers like, screw you guys. We're just here for the interviews.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll get there. Biggest thing is, I think we want to present ourselves and kind of, I guess, give you a little bit of more background than I think we have in the past, so you kind of know where we're coming from, what got us started, what makes us tick and stuff, so that way you feel more comfortable with us opening up and asking us questions. You know what I mean? Because altogether we've probably both been in the gym a little over or right around 20 plus years. You know what I mean? So that's going to be where our bread and butter is. And we know that. We know what got us to the dance, like I said in the last episode. But, we like today, we barely talked about the gym, which was awesome. I like that. You know what I mean? Like it's good to talk to, like we've talked, me and you talked about on the phone and stuff, was we what would we want to talk to our younger selves about, and that's what I'm all about. So those interviews and all that stuff will come. We want to get this as strong, and the community, you guys interacting with us and stuff, as strong as possible, so we can get more viewership, more eyes on this, so that way we can get more eyes on the interviews and stuff. So in the meantime, whatever you guys got, you can message us directly, you can do it on the comments and stuff. Let us know like some stuff you guys might be interested in hearing from us.
I'd also like honestly, one of the best things I think that we could use from everybody is whether you message us or put it in the comments or whatever, just ask questions, whatever you think, and if we we may not respond to all of them because we're going to pick and choose what we want to answer, right? But if it's something we think we can kind of expand on, it won't be just a simple Q&A where we just shoot out like a quick response. We could do some of that too down the road. But if you got some good questions that might be something that could inspire, a good conversation about it, we're not going to, feel free to ask anything. We're not going to be against any of it. So I think that, Body Geeks is something that we we both started 2015 is when we actually like started it, the old videos on the channel, right? But I think that I was thinking about that today, that it's not just muscle, it's not just fat loss. Like the body is one thing, and with that comes mental health, emotional or spiritual health, as well as physical health, which is what we like to do in the gym and stuff. And that the one I want to tack onto that is financial health. And I think that if you're going to work on being strong, you should work on being strong across the board with all that, because I I spent so much time focusing just on the muscle that I didn't spend enough time focusing on those other areas, and it came back to bite me in the ass. So now moving forward, if I'm financially strong, not rich, not even wealthy, just I'm on top of it. I'm organized. If I'm paying attention to my own mental health, not just sweeping under the rug. Oh yeah, there's plenty of times I tell myself to stop being a little, but and just sack up. But to actually like be strong enough to admit that you need help, with mental health or emotional health and things like that. You gotta, if you want to be successful in life, let alone the fitness industry, you better be on top of all of those. So I think the body is one, and it's all encompassing, and it hits all of that. So I'd like to keep this going and talk a little bit more, like we said, that if we can talk to our younger selves, we could hit on all of that, and still give you everything that you want in terms of bodybuilding, powerlifting in the gym, but hopefully give you a little more that can really just improve your life. I mean, if Mason and I can have fun doing this and improve somebody in some way, that's what makes it worth doing, regardless of any sort of exposure, financial or whatever else comes from this. It's just that's what life's all about. It's just leaving your mark on other people, I guess. But yeah, well, you want to sign this one out, man? Unless you got some few
Ooh,
more things to
man,
say.
the sign out. No, no. Now we got to think of like, an intro, outro. We got to think like, I mean, I'm glad we're just doing this,
Yeah.
but I I mean, I don't even really know how to end it anymore. I mean, I used to have my intro saying that I found out Rogan was doing, so I can't really say that for an intro anymore. So I guess in the theme of that, I guess we'll just say I guess see you fucks next time.
There we go. All right, later.
All right, later, man.